Greetings, YouTube. So I've seen something floating around in the blog sphere in the last couple of days about a man named Christopher Thomas Knight. And in 1986, at the age of 20, Christopher Thomas Knight, I don't know why they give him three names. They don't say Christopher Knight or Mr. Knight or what the heck they say, but they give all three of his names. Maybe there's a Christopher Knight out there they don't want to confuse him with. But in 1986, at age 20, he wandered into the woods of Maine and lived in seclusion for the next 27 years. Now, I might be impressed by that fact if he had been a true outdoorsman, if he had been a true survivor, if he had been out there with his hand tools, an axe, a saw, drill, and the skills to use them, built himself a shelter, lived off the land, because there are ample foods and plant and animal foods available in Maine, particularly in the fact that there's large sections of Maine which are incredibly uninhabited. There's nothing out there, like pretty much no one has lived there since we wiped out the Native Americans. But he didn't do that. He isn't a laudable figure. He isn't somebody worthy of our respect in any way, shape, or form. And the article I'm going to be linking to is from the Laughing Squid, and it talks about him in a way that I thought was really appropriate to my video here. It said the fascinating story of Christopher Thomas Knight. You see, it would be fascinating if he had done what I said. If he'd gone out there and lived off the land. There's a man whose name escapes me at the moment. His last name begins with a P, who lived in the Alaskan wilderness alone. And I've read his book, and I've seen his documentary. It was built about the man. And he was out there living by himself with nothing but hand tools and his hunting gear and his fishing gear for decades. And he was a man worthy of respect. Christopher Thomas Knight, he was a thief. He survived because he conducted over 1,000 robberies, breaking into campsites and in homes to steal things he needed and wanted, including, of course, entertainment in the form of books and radio, which he used to then tune into all kinds of different things. For a while, he was into conservative talk shows. Okay, now realize he can't stop at the 7-Eleven and pick up batteries, so everything he's doing here, the device he's listening on, he's stolen, and the batteries to supply that device, he's stolen. His underwear, his clothing, most of his food, all of it was stolen from other people. He was and is a thief, and he was arrested and he was thrown in jail for absolutely perfectly good reasons, because he was guilty of theft. Hundreds and hundreds of thefts. But for a while he was listening to conservative political talk shows on the radio, which there are ample available in the AM span. And band, I should say. And it's kind of ironic that he did that. Because remember that one of the things that the conservatives love to talk about is the rugged individual. The person that goes out and does for themselves. The person that doesn't need anything from anybody else. You know, hardcore libertarian, conservative, bootstrappy kind of political rhetoric. And here you have a guy listening to this talk show on a stolen radio, wearing stolen clothes, eating stolen food, in a shelter built out of stolen items. The absolutely, quintessentially perfect example of a hardcore conservative.